KW, Ramon, Kayla, and Will here in studio on 104.5 The Zone with Ramon Foster and Kayla Anderson. I'm Will Bowling. Pleased to be joined on the phones by CBS play-by-play broadcaster Ian Eagle on the call alongside our very good friend Charles Davis for Titans and Jets this Sunday inside Nissan Stadium. Ian, good morning. How are you doing?
Hey, what's up, guys? Good morning.
Morning.
So, Ian, I've got to start here because not only are you in the state of Tennessee with Charles Davis this weekend, but Charles Davis's alma mater is pretty good at college football. How much Go Vols have you heard? How much are you ready for the energy level? It's always at a great level with Charles, but maybe just up a notch in the state of Tennessee with a contending Vols team that plays in the state right now.
Yeah, I got to be honest, guys. He downplays. He does not go full throttle Go Vols. He is more under the radar. He'll ask me the score sometimes during our production meetings just to get an idea of what's happening. He doesn't necessarily check the score himself. He is locked in on whatever assignment we have every weekend. I know he's paying attention, but he's not a bang the chest kind of guy. He's definitely going about this a different way, and that just might be how he's wired. He doesn't want to overplay his hand.
I love it.
Nah, I push back just a little bit.
We call this battered Vol syndrome in the state of Tennessee is what we call that.
I'm giving you the truth. This is the vibe I'm getting.
I'll tell you what you can't do to Charles, man, is be one number ahead of him in a Southwest flight, okay? Because I was ahead of him, and he was like, Ramon, why are you ahead of me right now? He's like, I don't ask for many things, but if I pay for priority, he needs to be number one. I don't know why he says the only child thing in him. I don't know.
Yep. No, I've heard that excuse. That's interesting that you just went there. Anything that might be considered in some way a little bit off in behavior, if you ask him about it, what does he say? Only child.
Only child.
Yeah.
That's all I know. That's all I know. I've got a built-in excuse.
I love it.
Great.
I'm glad you experienced that too, Ian.
I love it. Ian Eagle, CBS Sports, on the call for Titans and Jets this upcoming weekend. Ian, as you look at this Titans team and look at this matchup, it's so interesting. The energy and the positivity around this team, a lot of that was confirmed in that game against the Bears. However, when your quarterback makes the mistakes that Will Levis did, it takes the wind out of a lot of those sails. When you look at this matchup, what intrigues you most from the Titans' perspective going into this game?
Well, having done broadcast for this league for as many years as I've been involved now, you've seen high draft picks at the quarterback position. You've seen guys that were unexpected that emerged as starters and leaders. It takes all types. But the one theme that you always hear from head coaches, especially early in a quarterback's career, is, hey, we're not asking you to go win us the game every week, but don't lose the game for us. And those are the kind of plays that we saw last week that will lose you the game. That is legitimately what happened. That's not a theory. That was the actual reality of the game. So I think it is going to be a wake-up call for Will in what's expected of him, what's needed of him. He certainly has all the ability. He's got the right approach. He's got the likability and the leadership skills and obviously the physical ability to do it. Now it's a matter of situational awareness and not putting your team in a bad spot, because a game like last week is a prime example. You feel completely different going into week 2 being 1-0. That is a huge lesson to learn when you're now been given the keys to the car. So we'll see how he handles it here in week 2. The Jets defense did not look good against San Francisco. They're going to be looking for blood, as we know. They've got a major reputation on that side of the ball. And this is part of being a quarterback in the NFL. Every week is going to be a challenge. Every week there's some other obstacle that you have to face. This one might have been mental along with physical, and I think everybody's curious to see how he handles it.
Ian Eagle of CBS. He's on the call this weekend for the Tennessee Titans as they host the New York Jets. When it comes to this Titans defense, what maybe were you surprised with? Because not a lot of people knew exactly what this Denard Wilson defense was going to be, and a lot of these starters had played together for the first time.
Yeah, I was surprised with Meatloaf. That's what surprised me. After watching the tape, Tavondre Sweat obviously stood out. He's getting a lot of attention this week, and that's how it works in the NFL. It's the proof is in the pudding league. People pay attention. People watch film. People read stories. I think that's probably been the biggest difference in coverage and the way that I approach a assignment compared to when I got the job in 1998. Fans are so knowledgeable. They have so much information at their fingertips, and you can't just assume that you've got all of the data, you've got all of the stats. People are paying attention, and he stood out. Really impressive debut in the NFL for him. You pair him with Jeffrey Simmons, and it's going to be hard to run on this group. Defensively, they were the talk of the league, what they did against Caleb Williams, against the Bears. The numbers bore that out when you're allowing 148 yards of offense. That's going to open your eyes. So, yeah, Denard Wilson, who has certainly earned his chance to be a defensive coordinator in this league with stints in Baltimore and Philly. He was with the Jets at one point, and he knows offense. He was a passing game coordinator for a number of years as well, had been with the Rams, had been a scout. This is what it's supposed to be about, someone that has seen every aspect of the league and continues to create a philosophy and approach and put it into play like he did last week. They're talented, really talented on defense, and I think more and more people are going to start talking about them if they back it up with another performance against Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and Meatloaf, Mr. Tavondre Sweat, told us yesterday, too, he's thrilled to go up against Aaron Rodgers because he grew up kind of watching this guy and just loving what he did. And Aaron Rodgers, in terms of his first performance back, Ian, what did you think he did well, and what are some things maybe you worry about at facing a Titans defense? You can get the ball out quick, but he can't get around as much.
Yeah, considering his age, we all grew up watching Aaron Rodgers. That's the reality. You could talk to anybody in this league and people that broadcast and cover. You're like, oh yeah, I remember. I was a kid when Aaron Rodgers broke in. The reality is the velocity on his passes, the zip, the confidence in which he will toss it in there. There were laser beams coming off his hand. That's always going to be a part of who he is. The questions, of course, will be his mobility and whether or not he could get out of the pocket and make some things happen if he had to. The thing that I always remember about Rodgers, and it was very similar to Brady, they had this pocket presence that seemed just at a different level. There was a sixth sense that came into play where they could feel the rusher or sense pressure or anticipate, and a slight move up, a slight turn of the body would create enough of an opportunity to unleash one of those passes. And based on the Achilles, based on the advanced age, those are the things you're going to be looking for. So if Tennessee can provide pressure up the middle and force Aaron to make some decisions with his legs, that could be a game changer, because either he's making a bad decision or he literally can't get out of there, and now you're bringing him down. The fact that he completed a full game, I can tell you, Jets fans just needed to see him in the uniform and at the end of the game walk off healthy. That was a big step for that organization, and at least now they think they can visualize what this could look like if things start to break their way.
CBS play-by-play, Ian Eagles with us this morning as he covers the Titans game this weekend against the Jets. Ian, staying with Aaron Rodgers right here too, is he at a point in his career that, yeah, I know he can throw it and he can do his thing, but the same way we saw Peyton Manning in Denver rely on that defense, and Tom Brady also rely on that Tampa Bay defense, right? We can go down a line of quarterbacks that's gotten older. He's 40 years old now. Do we need to see him be the gunslinger that he once was, or is that just like a New York Jets thing? Hey, we got the best man in the land right now.
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where the Jets look at their team and say, last year they had Zach Wilson, Tim Boyle, and Trevor Siemian playing quarterback and won 7 games. if Aaron Rodgers had played the entire season, in their eyes, they're a double-digit win team. They're a 10-win team. And I think that's the mentality that they brought this year. They're not asking him to be the Aaron Rodgers of old, the 4-time MVP, the Super Bowl MVP. They're asking him to be smart, to be a leader, to make plays when necessary, don't make any colossal mistakes. And then, guys, there's no denying the numbers. This is no longer just happenstance. He's gone 23 straight games without throwing for 300 yards. So if you want to dig in and look at his last stretch of time in Green Bay, he wasn't Aaron Rodgers anymore, or the Aaron Rodgers of old. He was still effective and still a winning quarterback in the NFL, but there's a reason why the Packers moved on. Clearly, there had been a change of heart from Aaron and from the organization of what the future may look like. It wasn't an easy divorce, but it still was a divorce nonetheless. When you trade away a superstar, a Hall of Famer, you're making an organizational decision. And the decision was made that the Packers were in better shape with Jordan Love running their offense moving forward, and the Jets were in desperate need for quarterback, for relevance, and for something to rally around. And I think that's how they're viewing it. Their defense is better than what they showed last week. They happened to run into one of the best teams in the NFL. That's a finely tuned machine. San Francisco put on a clinic. They believe they're better than what they put on tape last week. And you're right. If they play what they believe will be the brand of defense you'll see this year, they're not asking Aaron Rodgers to be a world beater.
And also in that same context, Aaron Rodgers got a lot to prove, but so does Robert Saleh. His 4 years as a head coach so far is 4-13, 7-10, 7-10, and last year, of course, Aaron Rodgers was out there expected more, and they're already 0-1. You got 2 coaches. One that could be at the end of his career in New York with Saleh, and Brian Callahan trying to get his first win as a head coach here. What do you expect from Saleh moving forward, man, as he navigates this season to prove that he's a valid NFL head coach as we watch another coach get his first start here?
Yeah, you know and I know that in this league, you are judged on wins and losses. There is no asterisk in your record. Nobody looks back 10 years later, 20 years later, and remembers exactly what the drama may have been, picking a quarterback high that didn't turn out to be who they thought they were going to be, injuries, poor decisions, catching a break one game and then the next game it goes sideways on you, pushing the wrong buttons. Nobody overanalyzes to that level. You get an opportunity in this league as a head coach, and you are judged by your record. Robert Saleh is completely aware of that. And I think he knows, and so does the GM of the team, Joe Douglas, that this is the year that it has to happen. If they're 7-10 again this year, there's going to be changes, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's a win now mentality. And sometimes you only get one shot at this as a head coach. And then you go back to trying to build your reputation back up. The biggest concern for Saleh coming out of week 1 is that the defense looked as poor as it did. They didn't tackle well. They led the NFL in missed tackles in week 1. That's not a category you want to be associated with. And that's his bread and butter. He is a defensive coach. That's why he got this job. He definitely convinced the team that he had the presence to do this and to lead the defense and make the defense an elite group like he had in San Francisco. The one thing that I would say, and I don't know if he can stick with it or not, but during the offseason, Saleh did talk about the fact that his priorities in the past may have been a little bit out of whack. He was concerned about how things were being portrayed or the messaging to the media. And New York has a lot of media. And his comment this offseason was, hey, I'm not worried about that anymore. I'm coaching my team. I'm doing the things that I need to do to make sure this locker room is right, and I'm not going to worry about what's happening on the outside. That's easier said than done. When you fall to 0-1 after a loss to San Francisco on Monday night, the final game of week 1, so everybody's watching, you've got a target on your back. That's just how it works. So you nailed it. Going into week 2, there's a little bit of that desperation mentality of trying to avoid 0-2 if you're the Jets. And as you said, Brian Callahan just wants to get that first win, put that off to the side, and now lock into building a culture and creating a winning mentality with this Titans team.
Ian Eagle, NFL on CBS, play-by-play broadcaster, our guest here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ian, a lot has been made about the quarterback play in week one around the league, the lower amount of passing touchdowns, the lower scoring games. You guys had one of them in Cincinnati where Ramon's old roommate, Gerard Mayo, got his first win as the head coach of the New England
Patriots. Group chats, baby. Yes, we did.
That's right.
We were so happy, Ian. Okay, go ahead.
But as you look around the league, Ian, and you spend time with so many coaches and talk with so many quarterbacks, from your perspective, why do you think the league has gotten off to such a slow start these last two seasons in terms of scoring and production, specifically in the air for some of these offenses?
Yeah, I think there is a cause and effect with the preseason. I do. You can have dual practices, joint sessions. You can push your guys a little bit harder in some of your own work at training camp, but there's nothing that you can do to simulate real NFL action. Ones against ones, starters against starters. And I get it. I fully understand why there are concerns in the preseason. You worry about injuries. You worry about things that happen that are out of your control. But I'm finding week one throughout the NFL, not even just last year, previous years as well, the offenses are often out of sync, defenses are farther along, and that just has to do with reps and timing and chemistry and all these things that are usually built. Training camps, as we know, are not nearly as rough as they used to be. Ramon can speak to that a lot better than I can. And some players will tell you, no, it's better. It's better for my body. I feel fresher. That's great, but you're not getting the muscle memory necessarily that you need to go out and play and perform at the highest level. So it's part of the deal. I don't have an answer as to how to fix it. You can't make coaches do something they don't want to do in the preseason. They've taken a preseason game away, recognizing that it was more valuable to have the extra regular season game to make money and to spread the NFL internationally, as we saw in week one. These are all large decisions that are way above any of our pay grades. But if you're asking whether or not there's an effect on what we're seeing on the field, I think there is, and I think it's pretty obvious.
Ian Eagle has been our guest on the call alongside Charles Davis and Evan Washburn this Sunday on CBS for Titans and Jets. Ian, we always enjoy our visits with you. Thanks so much for the time, as always.
Yeah, ditto, guys. Wish I was part of that group chat with Gerard Mayo. What a great dude. Really happy for how his team performed. He was terrific at our production meeting. You could tell the players are responding to him. There is a really good vibe. I don't know what it's going to turn into this year for them in terms of wins, but they're going to play hard every week because of their head coach and because of that entire staff. So congrats to him. Congrats to the Pats.
Well, and I'll tell you this, too. We have our YouTube chat up, and it's live, and people are just loving your voice, okay? I think they'd much rather you just sit on the phone with us and just hum like Mary had a little lamb. Like, that's all they want. They just want to hear you just continue to just, like, just do it if you, that's what they want.
All right, coming up on the program, we're going to open up the phone, get your calls. That's when we come back.
Oh, sounds great.
Nothing else I need to add. Nothing else I need to add. Ian, thank you so much, as always. Awesome.
See you guys.
Thanks,
All right, there's Ian Eagle.
That was awesome. He does. I don't know what it is about his voice, though. It is like very easy to listen to.
My mom did text me during that and wanted to know if he was single.
I knew this was coming. She got Jerry Jones. Now she's going for Ian Eagle.
I should not. See, our contacts are synced. So my mom also has Ian's number. So Ian, I apologize. Expect a FaceTime from the Harrah's and Cherokee. My mom's having a loose weekend. No, come on now. You ain't got to laugh like that at my mama, Mom. You ain't got to laugh at her like that.
The Harrah's?
All right, so I need a drop. We need a recording of that, Bert, to put on the board. And anytime I can't get a word in and we need to go to break, just shut everyone's mics off and you can just play Ian Eagle going, all right, coming up, we're going to open up the phones when we come back.
Way to go, man.
That's so good. He is one of my absolute favorites we've ever had on this show.
Love that, man.
I love it.
What a pro.
Coming up.